Okay, so there are on this earth beautiful people that we would look at and go, he or she's beautiful, he's handsome, and then you have people that were not blessed. Let's say they were blessed with the opposite. That, their whole life they were never looked upon as anything but less than plain. Have you seen people on either category go to heaven and face, I guess, a mirror if they have mirrors in heaven, and look at what they're wearing and look at themselves and look, man, I am amazingly, I'll say, beautiful or handsome or whatever. What have you seen?
I actually have seen that many times. I've seen people greeting. Now, people have to remember that people don't see me on purpose. He doesn't allow people to see me. Those who live in heaven, he won't let them see me because they would be asking me to give you all a message, and he won't let me do that. I have so many times heard people who've newly arrived, and they're not quite sure. They know their body feels good. They haven't really seen themselves yet. They know that they're glowing. They can see the glow and the joy and just surges of life in them. But when they start walking down the streets, their friends go, man, you look so good. You look amazing. They say those very words. And then that person who knows these people go, what did you do? You are so amazing. Look at you. You're glowing. You're young. You have life. I can feel the life coming from you. Yes, they have those conversations all the time.
Awesome.
And I have to say this, those who lived such a powerful life of servitude, who gave, who helped, they may not have been the nicest looking or maybe the most beautiful person on the earth. The glory, the beauty of the glory of God will be on them when they walk down the streets, and people will run up and go, I have to know who you are.
Really?
You have so much life and glory. The beauty and splendor of the Father is coming off of you in waves. They'll never again say, boy, you need something to help you. Even if they were laughed, or people are mean, that some of them are young, even sometimes they'll pick on kids that maybe don't not look the best. Maybe they have marks, maybe they don't look quite right. No one says that in heaven.
Well, I was
They
going to
will
ask
walk
this.
in the beauty and the splendor that comes from the Father. And that will happen when they step out of their body. If they could see it, of course, I don't know if you could see yourself as a spirit in a physical mirror on the earth, but I'm quite sure when they get to heaven, they do have looking glasses, and they're
They
called
do.
looking glasses.
They do.
And you
Okay.
speak to them, and those looking glasses will talk to you. And that's where that whole thing came in. That's how it
Oh,
came in that
really?
movie. That's how it came in that movie. The different movies that have had stepping through the looking glass or Alice in Wonderland and all that stuff like that. The things that we call fantasy, that is actually ideas and things from heaven that drop down into the mind of man. So you do have a looking glass that's more like a personality that speaks to you in your
Interesting.
mansion.
Interesting. Now, of course, on the earth, because of sin, because of what the devil has wrought on the earth, there are people that are literally born unrecognizable. Their face might be
Yeah.
deformed and all of that. And of course, that's the curse of the enemy. But God loves the soul and the
Yes.
spirit in that person. But we've heard that you go to heaven and everyone recognizes you, knows you as you are known. Does a person who was never even recognizable because of deformity, does everyone know who they are the moment they see them?
I think they know them because they're in their spiritual body. You have to remember that too. But nobody has any deformities. There are no deformities in heaven. God didn't make you deformed. He didn't make you that way. Something happened in the womb of the mother, or maybe it was in the genealogy of one of the other sides or something down the line. There are certain appearances that people have, or characteristics that are carried down to generations. No, God made you to be amazing. And when you get to heaven, people will still know it's you. They're going to know it's you, even if your face has changed and they see the trueness of who you are. But the spirit of that person will be recognized. You know each other by the spirit. And I tell people, I'd rather have anyone on the earth not know me by the flesh, but know me by the spirit. That's what the
That's
word
good.
says. We should, as the body of Christ, know each other by our spirit. You should recognize the spirit of the person. What are they like? What is their fruit like? How do they live their life? And you recognize that about everybody in heaven. But let
That's
me tell
good.
you, people are undone when they see people in this beautiful spiritual body that God has given them. That is what they would have looked like on the earth had they not been, we live in this fallen world, and things do show up. And like I said before, sometimes in birthmarks or the way that even your appearance looks, but in heaven you have nothing. Nothing of that is in heaven. You'll
That's
be
awesome.
perfectly the way God made you in the
And
appearance He wanted you to have.
and I do get this question a lot. If someone was completely mentally impaired, where they couldn't communicate, much less, or some can communicate on some level, but they can't voice it. Others simply are mentally impaired, so that for lack of better, they repeat themselves. They don't really know reality. Some of them have been put in homes because they're not part of society because they can't
Yeah.
even think or communicate. Does this person, of course, shows up in heaven perfect when they're saved? And that's the first question: is how do they get
Yeah.
saved? But the second question is, do they have memories of earth that they talk about, even though they were mentally impaired? If you happen to know that.
I think most people who are indicated to be mentally impaired, emotionally impaired, and the way I hear it a lot is it's like they were a child. They think like a child. They don't understand or can't comprehend things like an adult would, or somebody who was old enough to know things. They just would never know them. I think that the memory that they would have would be more like their childlikeness, than maybe things that were not good that happened to them.
Mm-hmm.
I can tell you that everyone will be in their right mind that God gave them and have full understanding of who they are and how life operates. And back to answer that one question you said, will people get bored in heaven? You'll never know everything. You'll never get to a place where you know everything and all that there is. But these people who are handicapped, impaired, I know people that had young people. They were like in their 40s, but they still acted and talked like a 5-year-old. And eventually they passed away. And I said, your 5-year-old, the one who acted like 5, is not 5 anymore. No,
Good.
you don't keep any impairments. None of those impairments will be in heaven with you at all. It'll be like it never happened, because
And
now you're living in the way God intended you and His plans for you to live, without being in a fallen world. And that's how most of them are so overjoyed and overwhelmed that the love and the presence of God. And this is the other answer to the question. If they think and always act as a child, God makes Himself known to them. That's exactly what He said. They'll still have an opportunity to receive Christ, even if it's at their death or as they're dying or when they've stepped out of their body. He will meet them and present Himself to them. Most children just trust whoever they're with. In their life, most of them are treated pretty well, maybe not as a part of society. So that's kind of something new that they'll learn, to be a part of everyone else in life itself. But no one has any bad memories or things that hurt them. They don't come to heaven with wounds in their soul. They're overwhelmed because they will have the understanding that now they really are their self and not who they were when they were on the earth.
and the other question is kind of likened to it, where I get asked this a lot. Someone had a parent who was, maybe they were mean or abusive. They did not know the Lord, and then they years before they died, they developed Alzheimer's, and all of their capacity to receive the Lord, who is gone. They don't know where they are. They have no memory from minute to minute. And I get this asked a lot. How does that person get saved, or can they get saved when they're like that?
They can still get saved because God can speak to their spirit. Their human mind, and I say your brain. Your brain is the human part of you. Your mind is a spiritual thing, actually. That's why your soul is your mind. That's a spiritual thing. It's not a physical thing. Your mind, your will, and your emotions are a spiritual part of your being. And God can speak spirit to spirit. He can. Even people who are unconscious and they're in the hospital, if you speak to their spirit, they will hear what you're saying. Not just because I know that happens, but because people who have recovered would tell people, I may have looked like I was out and I was no responsive, but I heard what you said to me. And I heard you. They didn't understand that it was the soul that they were speaking to. But God, in the Word of God, He says, I make myself known to every man. In other words, if there's no other way to reach them, oh God, I know we preach the gospel. That's something that is needed in this world. God's probably never going to stop doing that on this earth at all, to speak, to tell the gospel, the truth of the gospel. We all need to tell people that, so as soon as they can know Him. But He does make Himself known to every man. They're going to have a choice before they decide that, well, I'm going to throw them into hell. Their mind wasn't right. They never had to make a choice, so now they don't count. It says He makes Himself known. I can't answer how He makes that. I do know it's spirit to spirit, but I know that's something personal God does because His Son died. He died for everyone. And He says that He desires that none should perish. Perish doesn't mean don't die. Perish means don't leave His presence forever and live in the lake of fire. That's what perish is.